tonight I would have called it Rainbow Redo. I hear Rambo, I think it's Sylvester Stallone, I'm sorry. But
Rambo.
Rambo Redux. You know the question, what is your type? That you can sort of answer that, but don't want to. You don't want to admit to anyone, at least of all yourself, that you have a type, or worse, a pattern. Nah, you're way open-minded, or at least you know who's not your type. In my case, squealy homos, anyone close to my age, someone who works out so much they look like everybody else. Then I think about it. Go on, admit it, Berlin. You like the marginal, the terrified, scary adolescents, ex-jailbirds, the ones whose hurt inside scratch poetry on napkins and throw it away, the dispossessed, the dark, the lonely. It's not like any old ferocious kid will do. It's not merely the Florence Nightingale syndrome. They have to be good looking in that pimply, searing-eyed way. They have to see through my bullshit. They have to be young and pretentious. We always think they're smart, Danny Fields. When I look back at these guys, especially reading again about Rambo, I realize they all have some of him in them. Some more than others, as I have some of Verlaine in me. More than once, they have enthralled me, set me on edge, been feared, most of all, Michael W., the boy I met at the screen door of my sister's apartment in Somerville. There he stood in his underwear, panting from the run from his house. Will you walk me home, he asks. We became inseparable for the next year and the next. He looked like Rambo, same piercing ice blue eyes. He wrote prayers and poems and burned them. He aimed a gun at the back of his father's head when they walked in the woods in Louisiana. The gun was loaded. He almost pulled the trigger. He was only 12. From his porch, he saw a motorcyclist beheaded as his bike slid under the tailgate of a truck. He wrote love words on the wall of his bedroom with his dog's shit. He threw matches into the brush alongside a narrow road on the vineyard. It caught. He drove my friend's VW into the ocean. He took off his clothes and boarded the bus stark naked. He dropped acid with me, but because he ground his teeth fiercely, or thought he did, he refused ever after to close his mouth. It hung open, drooled. He gave me a black eye after sex. He shoved a Coke bottle up his dog's asshole. We would slow dance at a bar for old-timers, hugging, near kissing, showing off, laughing. They smiled at us. It was his idea. I suppose he was crazy. Of course, I think we all are. But it was all too much for him, for me. I met someone else. He was hurt. At a friend's suggestion, he went to a camp for tough kids up in Maine. The kids thought he was gay. I guess he'd made a sloppy pass at one of them. I'm not sure, but the short of it was that he got hit in the lower back with a log, damaged his spleen. It was removed. When he returned, he had a scar. Then things got worse. His mom didn't know what to do with him. He wound up in Marlborough State Mental Hospital. I went to see him standing in a line, in a regulation dress-like robe, accepting his paper cup of pills, just like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. A few days later, he drowned himself in a bathtub. It was a scandal. He was not being watched. I went to his funeral. The boys from the camp in Maine carried his coffin. He looked beautiful at the wake, even though he put on pounds. I broke down. His mom told me that no one in his life had loved him as much as I. Still, I wonder. I worry to this day that it was my tidal wave attraction to him that hurt him most, that sent him off the cliff. I still love him, my Rambo. He never found the African desert since Michael. There are the others, 2 former inmates, an artist who again resembles the dangerous one, fire starter of the soul, ridiculer, prescient, my knees buckle every time they seem to find me.